Good evening, and welcome to our third class. It's so nice to see everybody this evening.
What do you think? Is Elise coming for her? No, I'm thinking Elise.
All right. So so we have copies. Whoever wants to look inside for the reference of the pasuk that we're looking at, and welcome to our class. Great to have you. Great to have you. Welcome. And everybody else, so nice to be together. Huh? Oh, you were out of town or something? Okay. You were, well, we had a long break, a couple of weeks, and then we came back. How are you? Welcome. It's so nice to be learning Torah.
Almost brought my son, and I remember it was a woman's class.
Okay.
I said, I missed my chance.
What are you doing?
All right, so we're going to continue here in the second chapter. So if you have the copies here, it's really this page here, page 3, and we have over here. We said last time we spoke about what does it mean to be a Jewish man in the city of Shushan.
Yes.
There were many Jewish people. Why does it say there were Ish Yehudi? And we explained all of that, and we started speaking a little bit about Mordechai, why he stood out and what he was and what he did in terms of his history and how he's connected either from the tribe of Benjamin, not the tribe of Judah, and his connection and how he had to thank King David for him being alive that day. And we also touched a little bit about, but we could say a little bit, Pasuk Vav, verse 6, as it says that the exiled from Jerusalem, it says the word exile 4 times. Even though there was only one exile, the Babylonian exile, right? The destruction of the Beit HaMikdash by Nebuchadnezzar, and he took us to Babylon, to Babel. And so why does it say the word exile 4 times? It says it 4 times, and here it comes to display that Mordechai had been exiled more than all the other Jews. He went back and forth, in and out. He didn't have to leave Jerusalem as many times as he really did. However, he did so to go and be with his brothers. You know, there's a story that I'm reminded of now of a rabbi in the time of the Holocaust, and he had a yeshiva. He was a Rosh Yeshiva, and he went collecting. And he was in London, in the Jewish community, collecting money for his yeshiva, and it was getting very heated in Germany, and the Jewish community told him there, listen, you're collecting for your yeshiva, but it's not looking good. Why don't you just stay here? There are plenty of rabbis in your yeshiva and in the town, and generally they could be okay. Just stay here with us, save your life. I mean, you don't have to go back and get back into danger. And he said, if Hashem wants me to live, I'll live here or there. If Hashem doesn't want me to live, He doesn't want me to live. It's a very unique response, and he went back, and he didn't survive. And Mordechai, we see that over here also, that Mordechai, he could have stayed away from danger, but he went back into exile, backward. He said, where's their Jewish community? And I'm going to go be with them. Either in danger, there's a man, there's a Chashverosh, there's issues, there's trouble. Stay where you are. Stay in Jerusalem. No. I'm going to go out in deliberation to go be with them. And just like he was a Ish Yehudi, he was a Jewish man, he looked for every single Jewish neshama to go out and be with them. And we mentioned last time that really is the biggest mitzvah. So now let's talk about the class for today. It says, Vayhi omen et hadasa Esther badodo.
Where are you?
We're in verse 7. Now there are no numbers in the English, but it says that, and he had brought up Hadassah. That is Esther. It says, and he had brought up Hadassah.
Thank you.
And that is Esther, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so he brought her up, and that is Esther, his uncle's daughter. If she's his uncle's daughter, that means that they are cousins. She's his uncle's daughter. I was under the impression that he was her uncle.
Right.
But it says over here that she is his uncle's daughter. So they're actually first cousins. The daughter of his uncle, right? So she is the daughter of my uncle, meaning my uncle and my dad or my mom, they're siblings. So that's my cousin, my first cousin.
Okay.
So they're first cousins. But he brought her up. Why? Because for she had neither father nor mother right? So she didn't have a father or a mother, and the maiden was of I don't know what that is, of comely form and of comely appearance. I guess she was attractive, she was beautiful, and when her father and mother died, Mordechai took her to himself for a daughter. So we have to understand a number of things over here. First of all, why does Mordechai? First of all, who calls her? Her original name is Hadassah.
Hadassah.
Who calls her Esther?
Persians.
Who?
The Persians.
The Persians. Well, we see a reference to Esther even before she got there, no? And he had brought up Hadassah, that is Esther. It could be that you're right, because it could be
Ish.
that this is already telling us what she's going to be called or going to be known for. The Megilat says because it's over here, it makes a reference that it could be that he's the one that named her Esther. He's the first one that named her Esther, and everybody else picked up on that name. And he had a reason why he would name her specifically Esther. First of all, it was not a Jewish name. Today it's a Jewish name, right? If you meet anyone in the mall and they tell you her name is Esther, it's like, oh, you're Jewish, right? It used to be a non-Jewish name, right? So, so that she could easily blend into the whole theme, into the whole picture. And he doesn't want her, and he warns her, do not tell people that you are Jewish. Don't make sure you swear to me that nobody knows that you're Jewish. Now, why does that matter so much? I mean, King Ahasuerus was looking for a new queen, and he deliberately went to Jerusalem. Right? He went and he got potential candidates from every single country. And so, why do you have to hide your Judaism? I mean, it's okay. I mean, he knows he's getting candidates from Jerusalem. That's another question. Another question. So what is it about Hadassah? Is it only about Esther? Is it only because it was a common non-Jewish name? That's why it blended in. So naturally, it could have been any other name. It could have been, I don't know, anything. Samantha, whatever. Who?
Penelope.
Okay, yeah, exactly. Yeah, right.
Wasn't that a name of a
Huh?
star? Ishtar or something?
Oh, so he says so. The Imam Les is going to speak about why that name. But also, I have another question. The Imam Les is another question. It says that she was an orphan, right? But how does it say that? It doesn't just say, hey, she was an orphan. It says that for she had neither a father nor mother. And then it says it again, that that when her father and mother died, Mordechai took her to himself for a daughter. Why does it say again? It's stressing like the father and the mother died. And then it says he adopted her. Simply you could have said he adopted her. He says no, he took her as a daughter. What does that really mean here? So Esther, first of all, so her original name is Hadassah. What is a Hadass? The myrtle branch, right? It smells really nice. It's in the lulav and etog, and it's green and it has a very strong smell. But if you try to eat it, it's very bitter. Okay, so Esther, being Hadassah, she had a good scent. She was very, very good to Mordechai, but she was very, very bitter to Ahasuerus and to Haman. Later on, better with Ahasuerus, but to Haman, yes. So there's yes to this, no to that. Also, the Hadass, if you take out the Hadass, 3 months after, sometimes you forget your lulav and shrog, whatever, 2-3 months after, you're like, what a shame. These are the seams used to smell so nice. Now they're dry, I can't even smell them anymore, nothing there. And it seems like, no, but if you just like mush them a little bit, then their scent comes out again very nice. So too, Esther. The Jewish people at the time of this story, of this saga, they said, hey, one second, Haman is there with Ahasuerus having tea and pastelikos with Esther, having burekas and rogalach with Esther. I don't understand. This is our sister. She's Jewish. Okay, they don't know that she's Jewish, but okay, you could be the queen, fine, you could do your thing, you could be part of the show, but you're having like these buffets and these banquets with Haman, basically with Hitler. You're having lunch with Hitler in your home and you're cooking for them. So they saw Esther as being such a traitor, such a backstabber. How can you ever do this to your people? And soon, later on, we're going to see also about these attributes, but they couldn't understand what she's doing. And so to them, it seemed as if she was like the Hadass that was dry, that was stale, that was no good to use. But that's just because they were distant. If you got a little bit closer to understanding the motives of Esther, you can see that she's really like a Hadass. Just just feel it a little bit. Just try to understand it. Ask questions. See the inside. Everything she did was for a good reason. She had a plan. She did it for Hashem. She did it for the Jewish people. She gave of herself. She was selfless. And that's why she was really still compared to Hadass. But also, he says over here that in other languages, a myrtle, a Hadass, is called Astra and Astar. In either Greek or in Babylonian. And so the Esther, Astra, Astar, whatever, it's also similar to that, so he kept it that way. Now, why does it say that she didn't have a father or a mother? Could have made it simple, right? You know, the whole Torah, when it speaks about when God created the world, 6 days of creation, pretty complex. I mean, not for Hashem, but it's a complex creation. And so, how many words or verses are dedicated to the creation of the entire world? I mean, everything. And when it says the world, it's also the heavens, all the heavenly spheres, all the angels, the depth of the ocean, the fish. Unbelievable. 30 verses. Because every word is chosen, is really, finely picked. And so we don't have any additional or unnecessary words in the Torah. And so here, you have these extra words. She didn't have a father and a mother, and then it said it again, she doesn't have a father and a mother. So really the story is that was the sequence. That's how she became an orphan. When her mom was pregnant, that is when her father passed away. Immediately after her mom gave birth to her, that's when her mom also died. And that's why it said she didn't have a father and a mother, and this was her key to Achashverosh. Whenever he asked her later on, tell me where you're from. What is your moledet? What is your what is your place of birth? What is your nation? And she doesn't tell him. She says, I don't have a father. I don't have a mother. Don't ask me these questions. I don't know. I was just picked up. I was adopted by a couple of goodwill people, and I don't know. Stop asking me. And soon we're going to see that conversation with Achashverosh as well, but that was also her key. Now, why doesn't Mordechai want her to tell that she's Jewish? Because first, they were hiding the Jewish girls from being taken as candidates to marry Achashverosh. Right? They still have things to do. They want to go on a shidduch and they want to get married, build a Jewish home. Nobody wants to go marry Achashverosh. So they really hid them as long as they possibly could until they cracked down on the Jews and said, okay, fine, now we know where they are, and they had to then report themselves to be candidates against their will. And we're going to see it from the verses themselves. So Mordechai says, listen, we have enough on our plate. There's enough, they're incited against us just enough. We don't need them to know that now the candidates that are coming to them are Jewish, so do not disclose that you're Jewish, because he's going to get really upset. Achashverosh is going to get so upset that you've been hiding all this time. So just don't disclose that you are Jewish. And so that's why he called her Esther, but also from the word lehastir, which is to conceal, to hide, and not to show. And that's also the name of Esther. Even though later on we're going to see that there is a hint to Esther into Haman from the Torah, meaning from the Chumash. Even though it's a rabbinical, it's a rabbinical holiday that is based on a miraculous event long after we have received the Torah and finished writing the Torah. So how can you have a hint to Haman and Esther? We'll see very, very soon. So that is still in and of itself, it's a holy name. And by the way, so we'll see more of that. So Esther would really, she had the thing. But also, a Hadass. A Hadass is, I found a lot of comparison between Esther and the laws of what is a kosher Hadass. You know, Hadass could be not kosher sometimes, right? What if it's broken in half? Is it kosher? What if it's missing all the leaves? Is it kosher? What if it's fully dry? It doesn't have any life in it. It's not kosher as well. So the same thing is a Hadass if it is yavesh, if it's dry, if it's katum, if it's cut, if it's gazul, if it's stolen, right? Then it is not kosher. And also if it's not mishulash, it needs to have, there's a stem, and then there are leaves. There are 3 leaves on each kind of layer that go down. So now you need 3 on each one. If there's 2, not kosher. 1, not kosher. You need 3. And what do the 3 represent? Many beautiful things. Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Kohen, Levi, Israel, Am Yisrael, Eretz Yisrael, Torat Yisrael. A lot of very, very holy things. And Esther really held that all together, also to remind us of that. And she had all those beautiful things. She was faithful in her emunah, in her faith, in her yeshrut, in her honesty, and also in her maasim and in her behaviors. And that's one of the reasons later we're going to see why Achashverosh find her to be so appealing and so appropriate to take as a wife. And we're going to see how there was a lot of miracles on how that happened. So again, Mordechai is the one that called her Esther, and that's fine. Okay. Why did Hashem? Yeah. Okay. Okay, sure. Why did Hashem choose Esther? He could have chosen anyone, no? So Hashem chose Esther because He wants to save us, but He also wants us to do teshuvah in the process. So He wants to deliver us from any harm and hazard, but He wants us to grow in the process. So He's going to do it for us, but He also wants us to understand, to become, and to have something unique in the process of understanding of what's happening to us. Now, what normally happens? This is really what happens normally. When somebody's drowning in the ocean, not drowning. Let's say they're in the ocean. There's a shipwreck, so they have to swim, and then they find a little, something to hold on to. Oh, thank God, they can hold on to that. They still have to move their legs a little bit. They're still tired. They're cold, right? They're weak, and then they still have to go and push themselves until they get up. And then when can they really just show a sigh of relief? When somebody comes and saves them, and then they don't have to work anymore, right? They're being saved. So with Am Yisrael, it's really the same thing. When the Savior, whoever he or she may be, then we're okay, right? Like we don't have to trouble ourselves anymore because Moshe Rabbeinu takes us out of Mitzrayim. Yeshua leads us in a lot of victorious events and wars into Eretz Yisrael. Shimshon HaGibor, different things, okay. But in the process, we understand, we make resolutions until that happens. Now, Esther, even though she came and saved the Jewish people, they still had to do some work on their own. Why? Because they said, listen, Esther is Jewish. Nobody knows she is. We know she is. She knows she is. She's going to do what she does inside the palace. But we're still a little bit worried. Because what happens to people when they quickly and easily go up to fame? Sometimes, right, when it's just like an abrupt kind of move, they shift from here all the way there. Sometimes it takes them time to remember where they came from. So first of all, they need to get used to the palace, the new situation. They're busy. They have to meet a lot of people. Whoa, very important things. Not available. They're out of town. They're going here. They're going there. They completely forget where they came from. Naturally, very, very natural. So they said, one second. She became the queen. She's going to help us. We know she has good intentions, but she doesn't have a mom and dad. So she doesn't really have something. We're Jewish. She's Jewish, but, it's not like she has a little sister here that she has to quickly save. Well, what are you going to say? She has Mordechai. Okay, so she has Mordechai, but they're not, he adopted her. So they were really, really worried. So Hashem said, listen, I am going to give them a savior that's going to help them, but they're still going to have a little bit of a concern, and I still want them to do a little work on their own. I still need them to grow, to become, and to adapt into something greater. But there's another reason why he chose only Esther, and that is Haman is from the lineage of, before him, who else did trouble to the Jewish people? Amalek. Amalek, the first one after Egypt. Where's Amalek from? What lineage is he from? From Esav. From Esav. Esav. Why is it that Hashem, or how can we explain the phenomenon that most of the greatest troubles we ever experience as a nation are from that direct lineage of Esav? Esav, Amalek, Edom, a lot of these people from that lineage, from that tribal lineage, hereditary. they're the ones, like you got Yaakov and all his children, Esav and all his children, boom, 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 along the generations. Why is it? What about Esav? Well, there could have been any other nation. And here too, we have the issue with Haman, from Amalek, from Esav. What is it? What is going on here? So the Megilat says, our sages teach us that in actual fact, Esav had something unique about him that, for better or for worse, the reason why he was so powerful to overcome the Jewish people is because he honored his father to such a high degree, even though it came from a bad motivation. But he did the work. He really made it work. He honored his dad. He honors whatever you want, Abali, whatever. I'll wash your feet, I'll kiss your feet, whatever you want for me to do. Now in his heart, he's waiting for his father to die. I'll kill everybody, I'll take over, I'm just waiting for the thing. But he does provide. He really did provide for his father all the way to the end. And when there's kibud ava'im, when there's honoring our parents to such a degree, that has a lot of power and potential. And people get a lot of blessing for that. A lot of blessing for that. And Esav never failed an ounce. Never upset his father. Yes, his mother was, she saw that he was going the right way and she felt in her heart. But he never deliberately on the table facts, like proven facts, that he did something wrong. He never really did anything wrong to his parents. And Hashem said that is enough of a zechut to go ahead and have him have kind of jurisdiction or to have the ability to intimidate other nations and to even take on Am Yisrael. Now, what leader in the Jewish nation can stand up to Esav and say, "Oh, you never did anything wrong to your parents? Me neither. We're equal in our zechuyot and our merits." Nobody ever had that ability because the nature of being a child is, it's a relationship. You have a good day, you have a bad day, you're better, you're this. Sometimes you don't have an intention, but you made a mistake, you forgot, you said a word, you said something that wasn't nice, you didn't mean it, you showed up late, you showed up too early, too late, different things. So naturally, it's hard to be in a situation where you're completely perfect. And so the only one, at least in this case, that could help us is somebody that never failed. And who never failed? Esther. She never failed because she didn't have parents that she could ever upset. And not only that, says the Megilat, she grew up with great sorrow, saying, "Hey, I wish I had parents. If my parents were here now, I would do this for them, I would do that for them, I would only honor them." And so every day that she had, that she was sad, and she had remorse for not having parents to honor, for not having parents to give the mitzvah to, it's as if she had parents, and it's as if, says the Megilat, it's as if she did the mitzvah. By the way, there's the Gemara that says, every minute that a person sits idly and does not do a sin, it's as if they did a mitzvah.
That's nice.
Yeah, that's very nice.
I'll take that.
Yeah, I'll take that. Take that any day. And so that's how Hashem really does the cheshbon, does the math for us. He's like, yeah, give him more mitzvot. Sur mera, right? Don't do the bad, va'aseh tov, and do the good. So the sur mera, the refraining from any wrongdoing, is also a real essence. It's a temporal essence, and it has a capacity in and of itself. And so every day that she said, "Oh, I only wish I could have honored my parents," it's as if she had parents and she honored them, so she could stand up to Esav, which is Amalek, which is Haman, and she's the only one that could stand up to him. Very nice. Okay, so we have a so as the pasuk says over here, we just did okay. So we're gonna read pasuk chet, verse 8. Vayhi b'yishem hadavar hamelech v'dato, and it was when it came to pass when the king's order and his decree were heard, and when many maidens were gathered to Shushan, the capital, to the custody of Hegai, that Esther was taken to the king's house to the custody of Hegai, keeper of the woman. And the maiden pleased him, and she won his favor. And he hastened her ointments and her portions to give them to her, and the 7 maidens fitting to give her from the king's house. And he changed her and her maidens to the best portions in the house of the woman. Esther did not reveal her nationality or her lineage, for Mordechai had ordered her not to reveal it. And every day, Mordechai would walk about in front of the court of the house of women to learn of Esther's welfare and what would be done to her. And when each maiden's turn arrived to go to King Ahasuerus, Achashverosh, after have been treated according to the practice prescribed for the woman for 12 months, for so were the days of their ointments completed, 6 months with myrrh oil and 6 months with perfumes, and with the ointments of the woman. Then with this the maiden would come to the king. Whatever she would request would be given to her to come with her from the house of the woman to the king's house. In the evening she would go, in the morning she would return to the second house of the woman, to the custody of Shashgaz, the king's chamberlain. And the guard, and she would no longer come to the king unless the king wanted her, and she was called by name. Okay, so far what we have to understand is that this is a whole process that just to prepare oneself, a candidate, to be seen in front of the king, you needed 12 months of preparation. So from the day you arrive in this special place, 12 months to prepare yourself. What for? What? To maybe you wanted, I don't know, maybe the candidate wanted to prepare herself in a certain way, and also just to give her, like a good experience, just relaxing experience, maybe, something of the nature of that would allow her to relax, to be better prepared, to meet the king, and to be a worthy candidate for the king. And the Mamla says, why did they need 12 months? So he says he wanted to see if she had any sickness. If you show up to an interview in a new job, you're there for like an hour, you put on a smile, put on good clothing, you're looking good. Yeah, I'm excited, I'll do it. But if you're there 12 months, right? So yeah, you see everything about the person, right? And they would also get checked by doctors, and they would see how they behave with other people, how they eat, how they sleep, what they do, who they are. But what he really wanted to see was if this is a person that has good midot, good character traits, not somebody like Vashti, because he had enough of that. It was hard for him, even though he missed her a lot. But that is what caused the issue, in his opinion, which is that her, just her approach on life and the way that she treated him and the way that she spoke to him, and he just wanted to see how she behaves with other people, how she holds herself, how she manages herself, and that's how he had 12 months. And also back then they believed that you really need a full year to really see how a person his health-wise also, and so on and so forth. And that's what he did. But every single one of these candidates were given maidservants, meaning people to help them, whatever they need, and also in terms of whatever they want to eat, they want any music, they want any pets, where they want to be, what kind of home they had their own special home, right? So what kind of home they want, what kind of furniture, what kind of setting, anything you want that makes you feel nice. That's what you should do for 12 months, and you have that. Except for Esther. Esther doesn't want that. Esther said, I don't want anything. I don't even want to go tell Achashverosh I don't want to be here. Tell him I don't want to be here, and I don't want perfume, and I don't want help, and I don't want music. I don't want anything. I just want to go back home. And that really didn't help her too much, because she was there. She was chosen as a candidate, and she arrived, as it says over here. And what does it mean that? Okay. So now when the turn of Esther, the daughter of Avichai, Mordechai's uncle, who had taken her for a daughter, came to go into the king, she requested nothing except what Haggai, the king's chamberlain, the guard of the woman, would say. So some things that they said, okay, you have to do this, or you have to do that they did. But otherwise, anything that was optional, she did not ask for. And Esther obtained grace in the eyes of all who beheld her, meaning anyone that saw her, she had chen. So Esther was taken to King Ahasuerus, to his royal house in the 10th month. This is very, very interesting. Which is the month of Tevet in the 7th year of his reign. Now, this is very interesting. So let's talk a little bit about this. So it says over here that she was taken in the 7th year, right? Isn't that what it says here? Esther was taken to King Ahasuerus, to his royal house in the 10th month. What do you mean to his royal house? If you're taken to the king, you're not taken to the royal house? So first, he chose her, but he didn't keep her. But he kept her in a house that wasn't as royal. like, okay, I think this is a worthy candidate, but don't bring her to the royal house. Not. We still have to examine and see what's going on. And he only waited till the 10th month, which is the month of Tevet, in the 7th year of his reign. So what happened over here? So we have to understand. Do you remember when Vashti died? Vashti died.
Kippur, right?
What?
It
was Yom
Shabbat,
Kippur. It was
that's
Yom
what you
Kippur.
said, right.
It was Yom Kippur. But how many years into his into his kingdom? 3 years into his kingdom. Now we're 7 years into his kingdom. He waited 4 years. 4 years? That's a long time, huh? That's a long time. I'm saying okay, it took time to process, to interview, to think, to make a plan. But 4 years is a very, very long time. If you have so much power and control, you don't need that much time. And so the Mamre says this was planned. He didn't want to rush with it. He didn't want to just go at any. He wanted to take his time. He wanted someone that, as we said, has good midot, good traits, and he didn't want to do that. So that was that. But also Hashem says that Hashem also wanted a test. So what happened was so Esther was taken long before the month of Tevet to be prepared and to be shown to Achashverosh, and Hashem held her there for 10 months. Also Hashem did that. He wanted to see, now that you have royalty, and the king said he's choosing you. Are you going to be the same Jew now that you have so much more? The Torah says that a person that is mekayem Torah me'oni, sofo lekayma me'osher. If a person, it's very hard for them to keep the Torah when they don't have money. They're aniyim. It's hard for them to study Torah because they don't have time, they don't have energy. It's just hard for them, but they still do it. They still keep the mitzvot. They still study Torah. They still live a Torah lifestyle. Hashem will bless them that lifestyle that they chose for Him, even though they were poor, even though it was hard for them. He'll bless them that one day they will keep it me'osher, from wealth and abundance, right? So he wanted to see. One second, Esther, orphan. Imagine what it's like being an orphan. I'm saying you don't really have what other people have. Okay, she was adopted, but still, is she going to be the same as Esther now that she's in royalty? Now that and I want to test her like I did, says the Me'am Loez, Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. I want to see if she's faithful, loyal, honest, modest, humble, as she was back then. And so she passed the test, also in the eyes of Hashem, and also in the eyes of Achashverosh. And only when Achashverosh heard and saw that she's arriving again in the month of Tevet after 10 months, and she's arriving to the big palace now. She's moving in. She's moving with her stuff to the big palace. Then it wasn't the final destination. She had to move again. But it's almost like she doesn't have like this whole thing. Where's the U-Haul? Where's all the good stuff? Like where's all her expensive jewelry and fancy things? Nothing. She says that is for me enough to know that this is not a Vashti number 2. She's honest. She's humble, and that's enough for me. And so that's why it says that she was found favor in his eyes, in the eyes of all who beheld her, and also in the eyes of the king. So he took her in the 7th month to his reign. And he says the Mamlo is that also the month of Tevet is the winter month, and so according to the Mamlo is in the winter month it was easier for her to find favor in the eyes of Achashverosh for some reason. Maybe I'm not sure why, but that's why deliberately Hashem did that in such a way that it's such a month that she would be lechabev ota alav biyoter, to make her more favorable in his eyes. So it says that the king loved her from all. So let's keep going.
Which pasuk are you?
Let's just see right here.
How much Mordechai was in her at this time? Was he saying, she was...
Very good question. How was he kind of communicating with her? So we're going to see in a couple more psukim what she did to bring Mordechai even closer to the palace. She did something really, really clever. But even before that, it said before that Mordechai was walking around, right? Just to see how she is. Mashalom Esther. So he was always around. And by the way, that also reminds us about Hashem. Even though Mordechai was not Hashem, but can you just try to take that relationship, like just being there but not being seen, but not being. So Hashem is all, also like he's watching. He's got it. He's there. So also something very similar.
So you said something, this idea that Achashverosh was, Esther found favor in his eyes because of how she was. And it says Hamelech, right? And isn't every instance of Hamelech in the Megillah a reference to HaKadosh Baruch Hu?
Correct.
Yeah.
Whenever our sages say that, and this is a perfect example,
Right.
our sages say that when it says Hamelech, the king, it is a reference to the king, to Hashem, right?
So they
And
both,
she
found favor in the eyes
in
of
the king and in the king, right? And how did she find favor? Because she, again, was modest, she didn't change, she stayed committed and consistent with who she was. So it says later,
So she had 12 months of preparation, and then she had another 10 months?
yes,
That's almost 2 years.
yeah,
Yeah.
incredible. And it says over here now, it says that, and the king loved Esther more than all the women, and she won grace and favor before him. By the way, grace and favor, so grace is maybe natural, like wow, okay, and favor is more than the natural form of just of favor. It's even more. Because it's Hebrew. It's chen v'chesed. What is chesed? Chesed is when you do more than you're actually supposed to do, right? You have tzedakah. What is tzedakah? Tzedakah is, all Jews are equal in at least two things. It doesn't matter where you're from, what you have or don't have. We're all equal in two things. Everybody. Number one, in studying Torah. It doesn't matter your, socioeconomic position. Everybody, says the Rambam, studies Torah. Hashem says we all have to study Torah. So it could be a king has to study Torah, and a person that is knocking on doors to get bread. So they're all equal. So it's very interesting that there's an equal denominator to everyone's society. But we're also all equal, check this out, to give tzedakah. Even a poor person has to give tzedakah. So again, we're finding something very equal, equanimity within everyone in the Jewish sphere, or in the community, or just the way that they see themselves. They're not foreign in everything. There's a lot of things common, a lot of common things, and also in other mitzvot, but at least in these two things. So, but what is chesed? So tzedakah. So why did I say that? Because tzedakah is charity, right? But it also comes from the word tzedek. Tzedek is the thing to do, what is meant to be, and so that's equal. It's an equal distribution of a requirement to everyone. Chesed, not everybody has to do, right? But when you do chesed, then you're doing really the right thing, right? So it's like somebody asks you for a glass of water. So it's like, there's a glass of water, but it's a little cold outside. I'll give him a glass of water, but I'll make him a nice tea also. That's the chesed, like the little. So she had chen, she had a good appearance, but she had chesed. That's where Hashem kicked it in, like a little bit more, and that he didn't see in anybody else, and that's because of her midot, and because she was straight with Hashem. Hashem also does. It says in Pirkei Avot that aser etzoncha kirtzono, make your will like Hashem's will, so that He could make other people's will like your will, so that He could make your will like other people's will. Like people would want to help you naturally without even you having to ask too much. So here Hashem just does the chesed with her, and that is the grace and the favor before Him more than all the maidens. And He placed the royal crown on her head. And He placed the royal crown on her head and made her queen instead of Vashti. Now, He placed the royal crown on her head. Of course, she had a royal crown on her head. She was a queen. And why do we have to know that He placed the crown? Says the Imam Loez. This time, he's like, I'm not asking anybody. I made enough with. I don't want to ask anybody. She had so much charm to him. He's like, just give me the crown. Give me the crown. I am going to put the crown on. Normally it's a whole ceremony, right? The trumpets, and then it's on a pillow, and then you bring one to the next. It's like a sandak in a brit milah. But here, he just takes the crown. He's the one that puts it on her head. That shows a very high level of favor or favorism.
Why does it say instead of Vashti? Because she passed a long time
Very,
ago.
very good question.
What's
That's very powerful. Oh, so there are more than one explanation here. So he says over here, "Vayimlecha tachat vashti," right? So one explanation is that in his home, in his chamber, he had they didn't have maybe things that were like a sculpture image of the queen. So you're a king, you have the sculpture image of the queen. So he still had the sculpture image. Again, this was 4 years. He was holding an image of Vashti in his chamber until that day. The day that he put the crown on Esther, he's like, get rid of that one, and I want to make one with the image of Esther, and I want that over here. So he made her a malkat tachat Vashti instead of Vashti. Not only that, she had the crown and she's the queen. Get all these sculptures of Vashti out of here, and I want one of that. And another explanation is that normally the queen also had her special orchard, and she had special things that special places designated just for her, maybe to take special fruits, vegetables, ponds, fish, animals, this, that. Massive orchards, right? Massive acres of land that she would either grow produce or just have, leisure time and things like that. He signed it all off to Esther at that time. He made her a malka. Tachat Vashti, under Vashti, all those things went under now to Esther. They went to Esther. That's another thing that he did for her.
Also, say Bimkom Vashti, the chosen Vashti?
Yes, you can definitely. It could have said Bimkom.
Yes, but there's a different kind of.
Right. So Tachat. Like from a linguistic standpoint, you could you could use the word tachat, tachat is in place of, or instead of, or in the position of. But I guess now that you make a mention of that, maybe that's what eluded the Imam Loez and the commentators to say, hey, it's not just she became the queen. I mean, he already said that she had the crown. Rather, it was more than that. It was deeper than that. Like she really had a full expression in the chamber, and in the orchards, and in the parlors that they had over there. And that's it. Now let's go to the next pasuk. He says over here, and the king made a great banquet for all his princes and his servants, even Esther's feast. I don't like this English translation, honestly, because even Esther's feast in Hebrew. The Hebrew one, it goes like this: Yudchet 18. Vayas Hamelech, the king made Mishte Gadol. What is Gadol? Great, big. A big Mishte, a big feast, right? Lechol Sarav Avadav, to all his noble princes and his specialty royal servants. So this is not just for the hoi polloi for everybody. This is just a special banquet just for the prime people in his royalty chambers. Et Mishte Esther, the banquet of Esther. But in English it says even Esther's feast. That's not what it means. Mishte Esther means the Mishte, the feast of Esther. So we have to understand there are 2 or 3 things that stand out right away, says the Imam Loez. Number 1, why is it called a Mishte Gadol, a big or great Mishte? Number 2, why is it only to the princess and the noble people in his chamber? Number 3, why is it called the Feast of Esther? Feast. Says the Imam Loez, there's a couple of things over here. First of all, Mishte Gadol, Mishte Esther. He says over here like this. He remembered that 4 years ago, he finished a feast that was 180 days, plus the one that was for 7 days. So he had 187 days of a feast, of drinking, of being happy. But it was devastating for him. He remembered how really awful, what a bad occurrence, what a bad outcome happened from that feast. It's very humiliating. He lost his wife, and it was a lot of problems there. And it was in the midst of him losing 127 countries of his thing, and he lost Vashti. So now that was so devastating for him. This is going to be a Mishte Gadol. Why? What is Gadol? The great. This is the great one. Why is it great? Because this is a real happy one. What's so happy about it? Because he's happy about Esther. He found someone so perfect and fitting, someone so charming. When Hashem wants somebody to be blessed, it's just like there's no bounds to the bracha and to the potential. It's unlimited. And so he's so empowered and so in love and so charmed by Esther that he's like, wow, this is the real feast. This is the big feast. I'm really happy now. Now, the previous one, I was devastated. And now I am happy. The second one is that he says that he learned that in this one, with Esther, that which he lost Vashti previously, it was devastating for him, but now he learned that it was all maybe the hand of God. That now, because of that, even though he lost Vashti, now he gained Esther. He would have imagined that he would find someone so perfect and fitting like Esther, and so he said, maybe this is what I call Mishteh Esther Gadol. It's great for me. I have a great understanding that all that actually led me to something really, really good. And the third one, why is it called Mishteh Gadol and Esther? He learned from Esther to become humble. And so the Mishteh, the feast, wasn't as great as that feast. It wasn't as long, and he didn't have all the, over there it said he brought the stones, and he brought the rubies and the diamonds and the argaman and all these things. He didn't bring that. He had a nice feast, but it wasn't like the other one. Why? Because he already learned from Esther, this is the way to behave. I really should be like Esther. And it elevated him. It made him greater. That's why Gadol. What's Gadol? He became greater. Why? Because of Esther. Mishteh. The Mishteh showed us that he was starting to learn from Esther. This is the way to be. This is really the right way. And that he learned honesty from her and to become more modest and more kind of humble in his behavior. And then it says, and he made a tax break, I guess, for everyone in the countries. Why would he make a tax break? He made a tax break because he took a lot more taxes when he had to find candidates for the new queens for many, many years. So he had to collect more. He had to make them work. They needed shatchanim. They needed a lot of things going on. Says the Mamluez.
I said poofing. He's a poor guy.
Oh yeah, he was very poor. So now in this year, he's like, I finally found the queen. So now we finish the process and we don't have to collect tax anymore. Also, you can say that what was good for everybody there was that the fact that there was a queen that was not cruel, evil. Mm-hmm. Imagine, the way that Vashti spoke to Achashverosh. I can only imagine how evil she was. And what we learned, what she did to the Jewish workers that she had, they only worked on Shabbat and the ways that they worked. And so, when you have a king or a queen that they're just like normal, it's a blessing for everybody. Mm-hmm. And so taxes are lowered and stuff like that. And so. And now, and also, Vayitem Maset Ki Yad HaMelech, he also gave gifts to people. Says the Mamluez, why did Achashverosh make this meal? And why did he give people a tax break? He says something fascinating. He says he is paranoid and obsessed to find out who is Esther. Where did she come? Who is Esther? Who is she? Where did she come from? What's her nation? What's her place of birth? What nationality? What religion? And she's not telling him. And she told him, and so he said, I know what I'll do. I'll give a tax break to all the countries. And now the country, everybody in all the different 127 countries, are going to say, listen, he doesn't even know us. He cannot differentiate where she came from. He doesn't even know which country she's from. Yet he's giving equal gifts and tax breaks to everybody. Imagine what it would be like if we just told him that we were related to her. They'll give us jobs. We'll be connected. We'll be okay. So he said, let them come in. Let them come in. Let them feel that I'm so excited about Esther. If they give me a little bit more information, and everybody knows that she's not telling me. So maybe if you told me, then I'll give you a job. I'll bring you higher in the palace and so on. But that, of course, did not work for him. And finally, and also Esther made it. She said, "Okay, you're gonna have a feast. You're only inviting your workers, only the princes, the noble ones. Why? I don't want you to invite the Jewish people like you did last time. Last time you invited them, and because they drank, and because they ate what they ate, and because they did what they did, there was a lot of trouble to the Jewish people. And from here you can see and prove that their trouble in the time of Haman was because, the Gemara says this, because sheishtatfu b'seudato shel oto rasha. because they went and they joined or they participated in the meal of that Rasha, of the vile person, Achashverosh, with Vashti, yeah? That's why they were punished. And how can we see a hint to this? The Gemara says, how can you find a hint of the word or the name Haman in the Chumash, long before he was even born? From the first parasha, Parashat Bereshit. Parashat Bereshit, when Adam and Eve were confronted by God, why did you eat? Did you eat from the tree? Are you hiding from me? It says Hamin. Hamin and Haman are the same letters but different vowels. Hamin ha'etz hazeh asher amarti. Hamin ha'etz hazeh. Is it from this tree that I told you not to eat? Achalta? You ate? Meaning, what was their sin? Adam and Eve. Achalta. You ate. Hamin, Haman, and eating. Haman and the tree eating. Haman eating. Same issue. And so that's the hint for Haman in the Torah. But where's the hint from? From all places. From a story that has to do with food, with eating, with consuming something you're not supposed to. And that's how you can see that. Was Haman. And now we're eating his Oznaim back. We have to learn about that. I don't know much about the use of Haman, but yeah, oh my God. Yeah, well, maybe he had Oznaim like that, yeah. But we see something fascinating over here. And that says the Mamlo is, when we keep going, it says again. Remember it said before that Esther didn't say where she's from? In verse 20, Pasuk Chaf, it says again, En Esther Megilat Amavet Morata. Again it says that Esther would not tell her lineage or her nationality as Mordechai commanded her, for Esther kept Mordechai's orders as she had when she was raised by him. Now, why does it say it again? And why does it say as Mordechai commanded her? So, first of all, says the Mamlo, Mordechai was from the Sanhedrin, from the rabbinical court. He was called a rabbi that can instate rabbinical laws. He gave her a rabbinical law. Esther, you are not allowed to say where you came from. Derabanan. This is a rabbinical halacha for you, just for you. I'm making a halacha just for you. She's like, wow, thank you, what an honor. Okay, very good. Wow, I'm very, very honored. I will keep this mitzvah, I promise you, until the day until you tell me that I don't have to do it anymore. And so she keeps the mitzvah, she doesn't say. Now, remember we said, why doesn't she have to say? Why doesn't he not want her to say? So that they don't get upset. You were hiding and then we found you, but now you're the queen. Now you're favored. Now you have the crown. Now you got, all the orchard of Vashti. You have your own home, you made a sculpture of you. You're safe. Nothing will happen to you, and the Jewish, it's fine. You could probably tell him. But just like we don't change the mitzvot, the rabbinical mitzvot, even if they're based on a reason, right? So she did the same. It's like, I know there's a reason, and he told me the motivation, but he didn't tell me to stop or change, and I'm keeping it. And that shows the loyalty of Esther. She could have just gone away with it. And certainly when she was not Safiya.
I don't mean to contradict you, but another reason I learned and recently in class, because we're actually learning Megilat Esther in class this year, for why Mordechai had commanded Esther not to tell Ahasuerus who she was and what lineage she came from, was because that because of the lineage that they're related from royalty.
Very nice.
And that because Ahasuerus was so power hungry, if he knew that she was Jewish and he asked around, he could find out where they're from.
Yeah.
And he might pick her because he was so power hungry. That he wanted to marry someone else in royalty, because he himself wasn't royalty. He married into it by marrying Vashti, and by getting rid of him, he somewhat got rid of his
someone that was greater than him.
Power.
Yeah.
And by realizing that she was Jewish and where she came from, he would
Very nice.
back that royal, some of that.
That makes sense.
Status.
That's beautiful. Yeah, I mean, what we're saying now is based on what the Mamlo brings, but it could very well be that there's a, because that does, it has a great rationale, so it could be. So, and so, very nice. So, but according to this, we learn from that also another reason that she didn't change it. But just to add one more very quick thing here, that there's a Gemara in Masechet Menachot that says that we just said it before, that a person that goes up to something great, it's hard. Oh, it says that a person, even a very humble and modest person, that gets to a very, very high level of power or position, once they taste that kind of feeling, it's hard for them to let it go. It's hard for them to let it go. And also, it does something to them. Okay? So with Esther, it didn't change her one bit. Not one bit. And that's why even when she was finally in the royalty chamber of Achashverosh, by the way, one more thing we didn't say is that the third place that he made her relocate to is the chamber of Vashti. I was like, wow, that's like the biggest thing. And even when she got there, she did not. That's why it says again that she didn't say where she's from. That even when she got deep into the best chamber that you could possibly be in, she didn't disclose where she was from. Okay, I think we'll end off here, and Bezat Hashem next week will be the final week before Purim, and I guess we'll do that too.